Hey everyone, it's Ben Hardy here, and in today's going to be comparing the new Chevy Colorado to the current generation Ford Ranger. And don't worry, once the new generation Ford Ranger is out, we will be doing another comparison. Before we get in this video though, I want to give a huge shout out and thank you to the Larry Miller Ford Lincoln here in Provo, Utah, for giving me some time with this Ranger. This particular Ranger is available for sale for the time being, so if you're interested, I'll include a link to their website in the description down below. And then as always, if you want to save time and money the next time you purchase a car, link to my car buying guide in the description down below. Let's get into it. Under the hood of the Ranger, we have a turbocharged 2.3-liter four-cylinder that goes through a 10-speed automatic transmission. Fuel economy is 19 around town and then 24 on the highway, with power outputs being 270 horsepower and then 310 pound-feet of torque. Under the hood of the Colorado, we have a turbocharged 2.7-liter four-cylinder that goes through an 8-speed automatic transmission. Fuel economy is 17 around town and then 21 on the highway, with power outputs being 310 horsepower and then 390 pound-feet of torque. Now, before we move forward with the comparison, I do want to mention, if you want to see more videos just like this, then I recommend you subscribe because I post content every single day. So starting with the Ranger, again, this is obviously the current generation and not the new generation Ranger, but I still think the front end looks pretty cool. You've got the Ranger logo there on the metallic gray grille. Now with this package, we've got halogen lights, but we do have fog lights there at the bottom, and we actually have skid plate protection underneath and a really solid looking approach angle on the Ranger. And contrasting that with the Colorado obviously has this like beefy wide body look, but a lot of the features are the same. You guys can see you've got halogen lights, and we actually do have skid plate protection underneath. We also have this air dam, which definitely gets in the way of approach angle. We don't have any fog lights on this. So either way, let me know which front end you like the best. Now, coming around the side here with the Ranger, our tire and wheel setup is 265, 65, 17 in the front and over in the rear. And you guys can see we've got these metallic gray wheels, and then we actually do have some all-terrain tire action. Not the most aggressive all-terrain tires, but, you know, they get the job done. And then you guys can see Ranger XLT, and then you've got the fixed side step there, and then FX4 off-road decal. And then here's your full side view with the Ranger: independent front suspension, solid rear axle, and then we do have leaf springs in the back. Now, coming around the side here with the Colorado, our tire and wheel setup is 265, 65, 18 in the front and over in the rear. So they actually have the same amount of sidewall, but this has slightly larger wheels. And you guys can see all-terrain tires. They look a little bit more aggressive than what you have with the Ranger. And then giant fender flares. You can see the fender bulges as well. And then here's your full side view with the Colorado. This one has the Trail Boss package. And then with the Colorado, independent front suspension, solid rear axle, leaf springs in the back. So here are the key fobs for both of the trucks. You guys can see the Ranger actually has remote start. The Colorado does not, so I guess the Ranger has a little bit more. Now, popping into the bed of the Colorado, you guys can see you've got protection from the factory, which is definitely a nice thing to have. Decent sized bed overall. And then you have the little storage thing here in the tailgate. I've done that in a bunch of reviews, so I'm not going to show it in this comparison. Lifting up the tailgate, it's relatively light, and then you guys can see the design here with the taillights, got the bumper steps, receiver hitch there at the bottom. And when it comes to the Ranger, similar size with the bed, no protection from the factory. The tailgate is not dampened in the Ranger. It is dampened in the Colorado, but the Ranger tailgate's quite a bit lighter to lift up. And then the taillights here with the Ranger, you guys can see parking sensors, receiver hitch. And then there's the rest of the rear of the Ranger, and then there's the rest of the rear of the Colorado. Let me know which back end design you think looks better. Now, just like most mid-sized pickup trucks, legroom's a little bit more on the cramped side of things. And then when it comes to the door panel here in the back, basic with material use. And then we do have these cloth seats here with the Colorado. Manual operation for the window here in the back. And then headroom back here is actually pretty good. Now in the back of the Ranger, and legroom's pretty dang similar to the Colorado. And then same thing with the material use. Actually, do have some cloth trim right there and some padding. So I guess a little bit nicer there on the door panel itself. And then you guys can see cloth seats, just like the Colorado, and then manual operation for the window, just like the Colorado. And then headroom, about the same. Now I'm just going to focus on some key features in the front seat area of both of the pickup trucks. You guys can see here at the steering wheel on the Colorado, I think it looks pretty nice. It's got radio controls there on the back. You got stuff like cruise control. We got a full digital gauge cluster here. You actually can change what the screen shows, kind of another cool feature here with the Colorado. And then we just have a regular backup camera. You can change to the tow haul mode as well. You can even zoom in. Light controls are built into the infotainment system, which is interesting. But the good thing about the screen is it's very responsive overall. It does take a second for some of the pages to load up, but I think it's pretty good. Single zone climate, and then we do have, as you can see, four-wheel drive high, low, and auto, and then we have our drive mode select. So basically we've got a few modes for both on-road and off-road use and towing as well. And then you guys can see, got plenty of storage space throughout the Colorado. Got a normal glove box, all of that kind of stuff. And then the driver's seat is power adjustable. And when it comes to towing, we've got trailer brake controls integrated from the factory, over 1,500 pounds of payload capacity, and about 7,700 pounds of towing. Now taking a look at the steering wheel with the Ranger, we actually have nice material use all around, so it feels a bit more premium because of that. Bunch of controls here on the steering wheel. Again, more of a simplistic gauge cluster, just have a little screen there in the center. We do have some different drive modes here for off-road use and obviously on-road use as well, which is definitely nice. And then, yep, good camera, I'd say, overall. And then pretty responsive infotainment system, obviously not as big as the Chevys, but what this does have, the Chevy doesn't have, is dual zone climate, and we also have heated seats as well, as you can see. And then down below we've got off-road cruise control, we have a rear locking differential. The Trail Boss has the G80, so it automatically locks for you. This you get to select, obviously, then you get tow haul mode. And then we don't have four-wheel drive auto, but we do have high and low. And then you got a cool shifter here in the center. And, you know, storage pretty decent, pretty normal glove box. And then with this seat, it's partially power, partially manual. And then when it comes to towing, we've got just under 1,500 pounds of payload capacity, and then max towing with the Ranger is about 7,500. As equipped, this Ranger stickers for just over $44,000, and then this Colorado stickers for just over $41,000. So there is a $3,000 price difference between the trucks. Let's see how they drive and sum things up. Okay, we're gonna start off in the Ranger, then we'll drive the Colorado second. I've been really excited to do this comparison because you know, we've got two turbocharged trucks against each other. And, you know, I've always felt like the Ranger, although the sales figures don't support this because, you know, the Tacoma's been the best mid-sized pickup truck from a sales perspective for a long time. I've always felt like this is like the best mid-sized pickup truck because it just has great power, it's comfortable, and yeah, it's just got a lot going for it. But it'll be interesting to see if these truly do feel like way different from a power perspective, because this has less horsepower and less torque than the Colorado by a pretty, especially the torque, pretty substantial margin. But we'll kind of see how things stack up. I mean, right off the bat, feels really torquey, feels like super punchy. I feel like Ford kind of underrates this powertrain. And speaking of Colorados, Trail Boss in gold. It's pretty cool. Yeah, torque's good. Seat comfort's also good. It'd be interesting to compare that with both of the vehicles. And I will say the climate controls coming in clutch, those are strong. It is hard touch here at the top and there, but there's still a little bit more padding. But again, this is, I guess, technically a higher package than what we have over there in the Colorado. Again, $3,000, right? So good thing we have like armrest padding for the extra $3,000 we're paying here for the Ranger, right? And then some, you know, some other stuff. Visibility throughout is actually really good, and we'll see how this engine performs. And it'll be interesting to see how the Colorado compares to this. But I mean, this thing's quick for a mid-size pickup truck. It gets up and it moves. So to, yeah, quickly cap things off with the Ranger, it's comfortable, suspension's good, seats comfort's good, engine's powerful. It's just a great all-around mid-size pickup truck. It drives really well. Okay, so setting off in the Colorado Trail Boss with the Turbo Plus, right? So first off, I can tell you right off the bat, the seats in the Ford are a little bit more comfortable. These aren't uncomfortable. Ford seats are a little bit more comfortable. Now this is a larger feeling vehicle right off the bat, but something to note, doesn't necessarily feel more comfortable. The Ford damping is so good that I would say that Ranger might even be a little bit more comfortable than this. Over bumps at least. On smooth pavement, this one might still win out on that. Both pretty close. Now, interestingly enough, even though this has way more torque, it must develop it at a higher RPM or something, because it doesn't feel quite as like just punch off the line as the Ranger does, which is weird. So I wonder if, yeah, it just happens at a slightly higher RPM compared to the Ranger. I mean, that's definitely a possibility. But let's get our acceleration here with the Colorado full throttle and see what this feels like. Interesting. Very, very interesting. I mean, it's quick for a mid-size pickup truck. Again, it's weird. It doesn't like punch. It doesn't feel like it punches as hard. It's super weird. Can't explain it. You'd have to drive them back to back to be able to understand what I'm talking about. But I mean, super solid for a mid-size pickup truck. You know, so to cap things off, I think Colorado looks better with this generation versus that generation of Ranger. On the outside, interior wise, obviously this has a more modern interior, and you know, like $3,000 less. I think that's a pretty cool thing overall. I like 4-wheel auto. I like that as well. Yeah, it's a lot closer than I expected. So this does feel like a more modern pickup truck, but I wouldn't necessarily say that this is like objectively better. That Ranger drives so well, so it makes me even more excited. Like driving these back to back makes me more excited for the new Ranger to see kind of how that stacks up against this, because that'll obviously have a bunch of improvements. But there's my take. Let me know which truck you like better, Colorado or Ranger.